We all got 2020'd, but I'm not playing the victim card, and I don't want you to either. We're going to finish the year with some practical, actionable episodes to help you get momentum that will take you into a new life now. Don't wait until January. Now is the time to get in the fight. I'm Brian Tome, and this is The Aggressive Life. Welcome to The Aggressive Life. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Not. A recent survey I saw said that 88% of Americans report being stressed by the holidays, and 45% of people would prefer to skip them altogether. A normal holiday season, it can be painful enough. Maybe there's family members you don't want to see, or parties you don't want to attend. There's stresses on your wallet and stress on your time. The good thing about the holidays is you have more time to hang out with people. The bad time about the holidays, you have more time to hang out with people. It cuts both ways. Well, now add a brutal year to the mix, a cancerous election cycle, a worldwide pandemic, and it's enough to make you just freaking lose your groceries, just lose them all over the place. New Year's Eve is coming along. Woo-woo, like I'm excited for a new year, as if I could turn my back on 2020. 2021 isn't looking that much better, at least the pundits. That's what they say. And I thought the pundits were completely wrong when they were telling me in March that it wouldn't be until, end of 2020 that things were going to get better. I thought, oh, that's ridiculous. They were right. And now they're saying it's going to be all of 2021, and I can't just dismiss them. I'm more stressed out even setting up this episode. It freaking sucks, man. I was supposed to come to podcast excited, and here I am depressing myself with my own intro monologue. Well, I got someone here who's not going to have me depressed for much longer. Today, Shantel Thomas, Dr. Shantel Thomas to you, joins us. She's the president and CEO of a sound mind counseling service in Cincinnati, Ohio. She holds Ohio's highest counseling license and is a licensed social worker. Her work has been recognized all over the place. She was honored as a YWCA Career Woman of Achievement, named one of Cincinnati's leading women, honored as a who's who of Black Cincinnati. She's going to help us map out a path through the stressful season. Welcome to The Aggressive Life, Dr. Shantel Thomas, wearing your red Christmas colors. Awesome to have you here.
Thank you, Brian. Glad to be here.
Well, were you as depressed as I was just reading my introduction there? I mean, do you hear that going, that sounds about right? Or do you hear it already having a different perspective on it than I do?
Well, that seems to be the way it goes around this time of the year. Holidays are full of hustle and bustle, and they have the eustress and the distress, and they're concerned about all the parties they have to attend. So it's just a lot.
Well, right away, we should have less stress because people aren't having parties right now, right? So
yeah, so we think, huh?
So we think. Where are you on the scale of, COVID caution guidelines? Are you like a 10, like hyper cautious, I do all the things, or are you a 1, like I'm not doing much of it all? I'm just curious.
I'm probably a 9 because I know a few people who have gotten it, and I know some people who have lost loved ones, and so. In the beginning, I probably was more around a 4, but then as I started to see it unfold and heard some, I've had some friends there. I know someone that was 19 who was in good health that passed away. So it made me concerned that,
19, really?
Yeah, I'm a workoutaholic. So, I think I'm in good health. I take my vitamins, I exercise, I eat right, get enough sleep. And so I think, wow, I'm in my 50s. So
right.
You just don't know if someone who's 19 and an athlete and these things can happen. So it made me become a little more concerned, and especially being a person of color, it made me a little more concerned as well, too.
Was the person African-American who died who was 19?
Yes.
What is... This is very un-Christmas so far. So it's very un-Christmas, but what are the reasons why this pandemic is hitting the African-American community much more hard than the white community?
So it's always been said to me, if white America gets a cold, Black America gets pneumonia, or some people say the flu. I say pneumonia because of the health disparities and because of the access to healthcare. There is a big difference in that. And then what happens in our community. And then some people are afraid to go to the doctor because of testing that was done years ago. And the stories are still told about the experiments, the Tuskegee Experiment.
Yeah, go ahead and hit that. A lot of folks aren't even aware of that. So give us a rundown on that, please.
So what happened was they had a group of men that were applying to be into the Air Force, or the military. Let me just say the military. And so doctors came into the African-American community and said that they were giving them a drug, to help. But actually it was syphilis. It was, of course, the syphilis, and they were giving it to them to see how the body would respond to
intentionally injecting a venereal disease.
Exactly, into those African-American men. And so then there was one or two that decided they wanted to go into the military. And so they ended up getting the vaccine because they had to get the vaccine in order to get in. And that's how it came out into the community in Tuskegee that, hold on, wait a minute, they were giving us this disease, venereal disease. And then now these guys came and said, hey, we got this vaccine. They are, giving us something that's killing us. And so that spread throughout the community, that community, and then just through African-Americans. And so it became known that they were experimenting on us without our knowledge and not telling us what they were giving us when we were going into the doctors just to try and get, a drug to get better. They were giving us something that was actually not making us better.
So the Black community has a lot of baggage with medical institutions in your history. Right. The Black community has less access even to healthcare, even if they get over their paranoia. Exactly. But what about the transmission rates are higher as well? It's not just people who are dying greater, but more people have it. So what's the cause for that?
So we have more pre-existing conditions in our community. So some people have hypertension, high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes. So having those, and some people, there's high schoolers that may have the diabetes or may have heart disease or may have, kidney and liver issues. So when they aren't treated or they have the less access to it. So, of course, getting COVID, what COVID does is not just having the COVID, but it attacks those already, if your kidneys are bad or your liver is bad. And so when we already have those in our community and people don't have access to good health care or they can't get to a good doctor at a good hospital, then it just exacerbates it and makes it worse. So,
well, you mentioned hypertension to this is the last thing I'll say on this. Hypertension, I know me, I don't know if you have noticed or not, but I'm white.
No, I didn't notice at all.
I'm a good-looking white, though, aren't I? Yeah. And I've never had a day of stress caused by my skin color.
Right.
I've never had a bad interaction with anybody in the justice system. I've never had felt like I've been cheated on a job interview because of my skin tone. I've never had a bad interaction at a restaurant. My skin has never given me any stress whatsoever. Exactly. And that's absolutely not the case it is for everybody who's a friend of mine who has darker skin tones than I. So a deep talk. But we're not here to talk about race today, believe it or not. We're not. Let's get back to what we're talking about, which is the holidays. The reason why we got into that is I had a fascinating phone call, a Zoom call about two weeks ago. I was on the phone with about 20 other faith leaders around the country, and we were interacting with Francis Collins. Francis Collins is the director of the National Institute of Health. He led the team that mapped the human genome, a massive scientific breakthrough for all of humanity. And he's a believer. He's a very, very strong believer. We're trying to actually get him on the podcast. Francis Collins, we want you now. Francis Collins, I'll be back. Come on our podcast, Francis. Respond to my emails. Anyway, where was I? He said something. He's an amazing man of faith who's able to meld science with faith. He's a believer. He's really. He said something that stopped me in my tracks. He said, "Yeah, our family is not getting together for Thanksgiving because of this virus." I thought, "Oh wow, really, really." Man, do you think it's a good idea for us in the holidays to be quarantining over the holidays? Is this a good idea medically, socially, spiritually, psychologically? What do you think?
So my family is large. My mother has 6 siblings, and of course they have kids and grandkids, great grandkids, and we usually get together, and we're not So for me, I think it's to be safe. I know each family has to make that decision. Some are doing it on
You're
Zoom.
having a Thanksgiving by yourself then?
Basically, yes.
Wow.
It will be, me, my kids, and we'll get on Zoom and everybody will show their face, say hello, and have a Zoom Thanksgiving. It might be a Zoom Christmas per se, but I think it is.
Chantel, come on now. Come on. No, let me push on you a little bit. You're telling me on Thanksgiving, you're going to have a TV dinner and have Zoom at the same time and look at your kids?
Oh, well, my kids will be with me, but.
Oh, all right. They'll be, okay, so you'll have some community.
Yeah, my kids will be. Yeah, I will see the kids. But as far as, my parents and then grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins, what we're used to where we're in this house and there's 200 people, that's not happening, and so that's very different. The younger generation, I've heard from a lot of people that the 20-somethings are still saying, hey, we're going to get together. And that's fine. But I think it's each person has to make that decision. And I really believe in listening to the doctors with the holidays because they're saying this is going to kick up. And I know this is the time of year, Thanksgiving and Christmas, where people either love coming together or they experience a whole lot of pain behind the loss that they've experienced during the holidays, and they don't want to come together.
That maybe is one silver lining for us is some of us have a socially acceptable way to change our holiday traditions. Some of us come away from Thanksgiving and Christmas and getting together with the people we get together with incredibly drained and frustrated. Now we have an easy out to say, hey, I can't do that this year. And once you break it by 1 year, it's probably going to stay that way forever. Agree?
Mm-hmm. Right, agree. I was thinking, 2020, it depends on how you look at it with the holidays. It could be, yes, this is great. I can be at home. I don't have to entertain. And if you're the woman that cooks for everyone and everybody comes to your house and maybe you're the one cleaning up afterwards as well because everyone's just kind of chilling around, relaxing, you will say, this is great, no Thanksgiving. But for those who thrive and live off of that connection and the socialization and the engagement, it'll be pretty hard. And then you'll have to find other ways to manage the stress and the loneliness and the isolation.
So your practice, has business gone up in 2020 for you?
Business has tripled for us because, we have 4 locations. So I have 4 locations. There's about 20 therapists, and everybody's working from maybe 9 a.m. to 6 or 7 or 8 and weekends, when usually most people work around 30 hours a week, but we're doing 40, 50 because there's so much anxiety, so much stress, so much depression. And now with the holidays, it has gotten to where people are very concerned about loved ones that they've lost during COVID and how to manage that. And others are saying, I just want to run away. I want to move. But where are you going to go? You can't run away from yourself. You have to manage that grief. And so some people are grieving multiple losses at the same time. Loss of job, loss of loved one, loss of relationship. And so the holidays don't make that feel better if you're used to having your family and now you can't. And then you went through a divorce and then maybe you were furloughed. So you have these multiple layers of trauma. And also you're supposed to be happy about Thanksgiving and Christmas, and you're not. So how do you do that? How do you manage that?
That statistic of your business tripling is one of the few positive statistics I've heard during COVID-19. And I say positive, some would say, wait, that's awful. No, your business should actually be tripled normally throughout the year.
Right.
Because people have problems they're not talking about at all. And that this is forcing people to come out and not deny things that were there before. We've all had pre-existing conditions before this, haven't we? Exactly. It wasn't like life was good and great and all of a sudden, bam, COVID-19 hit. It's that many of us were hanging on by our fingernails thinking we were going to be able to get by, and we were never going to be able to get by. This is just the incident that triggered that new day, correct?
Yes. And I think it caused a lot of people to say, okay, let me check in with myself and see what's going on with me. How am I doing? And am I not doing well? Am I doing well? And then when your kids are home, your spouse is home, the divorce rate has gone up, domestic violence has gone up, parental abuse has gone up since people have been home. And so people have decided to reach out. And then when you have to get used to grief and loss because my brother passed away or my father, or I lost my brother and my father to COVID or some other, maybe it was just they were aging anyway, and now I can't have a funeral the normal way that I'm used to having a funeral. We can have a repast or, and you're used to coming together. And so now it forces you to say, I need help. and there's people out here that can help me. Whereas before in the past, people were like, oh, go to your pastor, or you can talk to your best friend, or you don't need a therapist. You're not crazy. Well, the majority of people that come into therapy aren't crazy. Really, we don't have anyone that comes in that's crazy, And then the other thing is, I think that if people look at the research, it says people that see a therapist are healthier than people who do not, because they have someone they can talk to about the stress of the holidays or the stress of the loss of a loved one during COVID or whatever the issue may be. And we're here to help, and we listen, and we're non-judgmental, non-critical. We give you the biblical precepts that you need to help you get through this time.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of your profession. I'm using your profession now. And I also believe that a lot of people need your profession because they haven't figured out how to be a friend. We don't talk to anybody. We're just so insulated. So for some of us, there's certainly some problems that are so deep that the average friend of yours just is not able to cope with at all. But there's a heck of a lot of things that we could handle with our friends, but we don't know how to make friends, so we pay someone to be our friend for 50 minutes.
Right, exactly. The research says that for women, you need to have 3 women that you're totally transparent with to be healthy, to talk to and to have lunch with and dinner with, to be considered to be healthy mentally. For men, it's 1. And I think for men, it's 1 because men don't talk as much, and women, we might wear one woman out because we'll talk all day. So if you don't have that one male friend, then you're not mentally healthy because you're not being transparent and open and sharing. So find that one male friend. Or for women, find the 3 female friends that you can talk to and share and just pour out. It gets you on the road to being healthy to start. And then when those deep, heart-wrenching things come up, then they may say, hey, you need a therapist. This is too much for me.
I'm surprised it's 1 for men because most men I know don't have a best friend. If they have friends, they got 3 or 4 that are up there high.
That's good. They're healthy.
Yeah, well, no, well, hold on.
Healthier, right?
Yeah, well, most men don't have friends. Let me start with that.
Right, yeah.
Most men do not have friends. Those that do have a hard time identifying their best friend.
Yeah, right. So this is the one best friend you're supposed to have to be totally transparent with. And then women need 3 best friends. So, yeah. And usually when people come into my practice, I ask them that, who is the person that you talk to? Who would you consider your best friend that will come get you at 2 a.m. in a snowstorm, get out of their bed and come get you? And a lot of them will say, I don't have anyone. And so we start there. Relationships are what make us thrive and live. And especially during the holidays, you need to have those friends.
So what other survival tips do you have for us for Thanksgiving, Christmas, whether it's health survival, mental health survival? What do people generally not do over the holidays that they should do? And what do people do that they should stop doing?
Right. So what people don't do, I think it depends on the person. So if you're someone who, if you've experienced a loss, that seems to be the biggest thing during the holidays when people have lost a parent or child or someone on that scale of the top 3 losses in life, they want to isolate and shut down. And so the goal is to get out so you can especially, with COVID now, if you could just I tell people if you can get on a Zoom, have a family Zoom, a friend Zoom, a relationship Zoom or whatever, just create these Zooms so you can still have the connection since social distancing is very important. I tell people to reward yourself just for being alive and being you. Go out, buy yourself a rose, or maybe get yourself your favorite Snickers candy bar. I don't know, but, praise yourself that you're making it through.
Getting myself a rose. I've not considered buying myself a rose.
Yeah, I love me. So I love me. And
Maybe I'll buy myself a gun. Right. Buy myself another gun. I'm buying another gun right now. But maybe I'll buy myself another gun.
There you go. Whatever it is, it's like celebrate you.
Yeah.
Just celebrate you, And I think during the holidays, a lot of people, when they're feeling lonely or isolated, they forget that, I'm still here. I'm alive. God has let me see another day. Even though weeping may endure for a night, joy comes in the morning. And so another day, I see another day, so I should be celebrating this life. And let me find someone to connect with to help me feel good about me and help them feel good about them as well. So the other side of that is, everyone's always like, oh, it's the holidays, I have to shop. So the retail therapy, I always tell people, slow down, have a budget. Don't go over the budget because some people will start spending to help them feel better when they're feeling sad, especially if they have seasonal affective disorder because the seasons have changed. I'm feeling sad. I'm depressed. So I want to go shop. I want to get out. And so not that they'll buy a whole bunch of things. I'm like, make a budget. If the budget is 200 or if it's 500, whatever it is, don't go over. And for some people, that's hard because the therapy, the retail makes them feel good because they're buying all these things for people. But then later you have the debt on the back end that, you know, you have to deal
retail
with.
therapy is fine so long as you've got unbelievably high disposable income.
Right. Exactly.
And there are some people who are like that. There just are. It's interesting having this conversation with you, professional therapist to professional pastor, which is my day job. I've always believed that the reason the holidays are so stressful, what I've seen, is that people have a template for their life for what it's supposed to look like. And the holidays is when that photograph is taken in our mind. Like, do I have the family I thought I would have in front of the Christmas tree? Am I as far ahead in life as I am? Do I feel as happy because I should feel happy? It helps us judge where we are, and many of us are not where we thought we would be at this stage of life, and the holidays is that report card time. And then later on top of that, fun, happy movies or songs where people look like they have themselves together, and we don't.
Right.
It's always stressful, and now we've got another layer of stress on that. What might I do when I'm feeling this stress?
I always tell people to, really look inward, So a lot of times it's like you compete with you to be a better you. If I'm feeling sad, then what can I do to make me feel better? And so creating a list of 10 things that bring me joy. So if it is call a friend, I always tell women at least put down 2 friends. And if it's a man, if you don't have one, find one. And maybe your pastor can be one until you find one. And then, if it's playing music, going to the gun range or, working out, create a list of 10 things that bring you joy, because usually what the research says is by the time you get to the 3rd or 4th one, you're feeling better. And so if you're someone who knows that I will be alone for the holidays because I don't have a significant other or, family or friend, then what are some things I can do to bring me joy and to make me feel better and connect? And because I don't have those things that I thought I would have. I hear that from a lot of women, like, I'm 35, I'm not married yet, I haven't had kids, my eggs are getting old. And I'm like, no. Who told you that? Who put that recording in your head? We need to rip up the tape because that's not true, right? So if I believe I can do this and I have positive self-talk, then it's going to happen. But if I have negative self-talk and I'm saying, man, I can't do this, I'm horrible, I'm a loser, then yes, you are still causing those things to come forth in your life because you're believing that you're not worthy, you're not lovable, you're not a good person. But if I say, man, I can conquer this, I can conquer the world, I'm going to reach for that goal, I'm going to accomplish it, and I'm going to say every day that I'm a lovable person, I'm worthy, and I can accomplish anything I set my mind to, then that's probably going to happen for me because I'm every day working towards it, I'm speaking it. So the research talks about how if a person says it and they see it, they say it, and then they can do it. So if I see it, I write it on a sticky note, put it up in my bathroom. I'm going to see that I can do whatever I put my mind to. Then as I leave my house, every day I'm going to say at least 3 or 4 times, I can do whatever I put my mind to. I can overcome this obstacle because I'm putting my mind to it. I'm going to overcome it. And then I'm going to do something about it. So every day I'm going to make sure if I want to pay that bill, I'm going to make sure I set the money aside so I can pay the bill. So I see it. And then I post it up somewhere, I see it, then I say it every day. I can do this. I'm going to pay this bill off. And then I do it. I work towards saving money and putting it in a little savings, and then I'm going to make that bill go away. So
great. Yeah, and the power of the tongue is something that's in the Bible again and again. God speaks and calls creation into existence. There's something about when we speak things. The book of James in the New Testament talks about the power of the tongue being able to steer ships. A little thing can steer ships or steer animals. And we oftentimes look at that as, okay, power of tongue, I can't tear anybody down with my words. I shouldn't do that. Okay, well, that's true, but you're talking about the inverse, the positive inverse of that. There's something when you say it that you want to hold yourself accountable and you more likely bring it into being. An easy one for me is I just came back from the gym. I just took off my sweater. It's just my T-shirt here. I feel like a slob, but I was just sweating and hot. And sometimes I'll be on the elliptical and I'll say 5 more minutes. I just say it. Just the act of speaking it, now I have a level of accountability and something's going to happen. So you're talking about something that's actually very biblical and psychological at the same time. I find it fascinating that maybe one of the reasons that we don't speak things that we want is because we're afraid of being let down. Maybe there's just a little ember of hope that we have. And we know if we go after something and it doesn't happen, that little ember is going to go out. And we need to keep that ember going for when we really need it. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, so I do hear a lot of people there. It's just that fear, and that fear grips them. And so it's like, no, you can't let that fear. I was telling you, you're in a boxing match. You have fear on one shoulder, and then you have faith on the other talking to you. And then they're in the corners like, ding, ding, round one. So, yeah, I think people will get in that kind of a routine of, oh, I can't do that. That's too much. It's too much. And the knots in the stomach, they're afraid. And it's like, no, you can do it. And just speak it. So it's that positive self-esteem. It's encouraging yourself. It's speaking life over yourself. It is telling yourself, I can do whatever I put my mind to. And nobody can stop me but me. If I can do it. It's just like, go for it. You don't know if you don't even try.
If you tell yourself you're a loser, then you will lose.
Right.
You will. Right. I find it interesting, your thing earlier about someone who was 35 and they don't have kids, and they want to have kids, want to have marriage. It's in the male realm, we talk about certain women who have the X factor. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's a new term to you or not.
No,
yeah. So the X factor is, for those of you who don't know, the X factor is somebody who is attractive, very attractive, but yet if you took a picture of them and you just look at the picture, you're like, they're fine. But there's something about when you're around them, they have this X factor of chemistry and excitement, and you want to be around them and stuff. I wonder how much of that's a person who believes in themselves and they exude self-confidence. They exude, versus there's some women I've been around who are drop dead gorgeous if I saw them on a picture, but like zero interest, zero at all. Right. And some of them are just drop dead gorgeous because that's the only thing they have in their world is to try to make themselves gorgeous. Mm-hmm. I think it's another way to look at that angle of the things you believe about yourself, the things that you say to yourself actually end up attracting more people to yourself or repelling more people.
Yes, it does. And that's so true. And so I tell people you always have to speak. Just start out speaking what you want to happen. And definitely during the holidays, I want to be around people who are full of life and joy and happiness, and speaking it causes it to come forth.
So let's talk about speaking things to happen. I'm going to give you some scenarios. I want you to take us to class. These are scenarios that the average listener is dealing with, and we want you as your doctor, master of personal communication, your doctor, master of all that is, to tell us what you would say if you were in this situation, okay? So what do we do when we're around the Christmas tree or around the Thanksgiving table? What do we say to that family member who always brings up politics?
So that family member, usually, at our house, it's like these are off the limits. So some people have gotten to the point, because people are on different sides, especially, right now, that it's like timeout. You have some people have little languages like nonverbals. They give signs to family members like, nope, we're not doing that. Also, I think it's just very important to be okay with saying, hey, now we're not going to talk about it right now. This is a great time of celebration and love and sharing, and this is going to cause us to have an argument. So let's just not go there.
That's good. Just say it that clearly. Mm-hmm. What I find interesting about that is it doesn't matter who you voted for. Half of America disagrees with you.
Right. That's true.
You know what I mean? There's 140 million Americans, roughly 65 to 70 voted one way, 65. So no matter who you are, there's another person who disagrees with you, and a lot of those folks are in your family. So, all right. So how do you negotiate with your spouse or tell your spouse you don't want to go to the in-laws?
So that one, I would say there have been times where this has been just an issue that has come to therapy. And so some people create where we alternate like 1 year we go to your parents, 1 year we go to mine, and then the next year we stay home. And then others say, let's come up with it's the simple thing, the pros and cons list. What is the pros to going and staying home? And if we don't go, let's stay home. But as a unit, you have to say we, not my wife doesn't want to come or my husband doesn't want to come. It has to be a united front to the family and say, we decided we want to stay home this year and just spend time with, our kids. Or we decided that it's best for us not to come this year because some family members, it's not good to say, but it's true. There's toxicity there.
Yep.
And so if it's a toxic situation, you don't want to put yourself in there or your kids in that situation and then have to come home and work through your own pain, hurt, or whatever, trauma, whatever it may be.
So let's say you come to agreement with your spouse on what you're going to do if you're a spouse, if you have a spouse, and even if you don't have a spouse, one way or another, you're going to a place you feel like you need to go there over the holidays that you really don't want to go to, but you have to do it.
Right.
What do we do to psych ourselves up for it? What do we do to get ourselves ready for it?
If you have to go. So, there's been times where I've worked with couples and they've decided we're going for 2 hours. Or, there's a time limit. And then this is what we're going to do. So they have a plan of attack. So they're moving strategically and not emotionally. So I always tell my people, move strategically and not emotionally. So if you move in the sense of, okay, we're going to go here, we'll be here for 2 hours. Who do we want to sit by? Who do we want to engage in conversation with? Who is the safest person that maybe want to attack me or attack you? So sometimes you have to be strategic about the holidays and who you're spending time with and even where you sit at the table. So sometimes it's like war at some homes.
Have a game plan.
Yes, you have to have a game plan.
How do I deal with the grief that my traditions may not happen because of COVID-19? Coach me through that. What do I do to just not be bummed out that 20 years of whatever is now out the window or at least paused?
Right. So people are finding different ways to do it. Some people I know are getting together on Zoom. Others are saying, I'm going to celebrate here by myself at home and still have that tradition, but it's just me or it's me with my kids, and it may not be the extended family. But still, find a way to make it a joyful occasion for you or something that doesn't compound the grief or make it sad. So even though you can't get with them, how can you still connect? Is it a phone call? Is it a Zoom? Is it FaceTime? Is it just maybe 5 family members coming over? If it is, I write something, I create a vision board, or I celebrate life of the family members that have passed away with a balloon release or whatever it may be during the holidays. You still need to make sure that you're doing some of that. Even if it is you cook the big meal and nobody's eating but you.
Financial stress. Coach us on financial stress.
Yes.
Holidays, gifts, places to go. How do we deal with that?
Right. So I tell everybody this is the time of the year that you really need to be utilizing a budget so that you don't go over. If it is you spend $100 per child or $50, or if it's $250, make sure you stick to that budget and don't go over so you don't come up like short for your rent or other things because you feel like you have to or you're feeling guilty. I think also when it comes to the financial piece, if you don't have it, you just tell your kids and be honest, hey, we just don't have it. So for holidays, we're going to make each other a gift. Maybe it's just a card or maybe it's just spending time together watching movies. So don't overspend and don't feel obligated or feel guilty if you can't purchase gifts because it's really about the love that we have for one another at this time and spending time with family and cultivating the relationships.
All right, Shantel, Dr. Shantel, we're going to go into the lightning round. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Yes, I am.
The lightning round is I give you a topic and you must answer it in 1 sentence or less.
Oh, okay.
Yes, 1 sentence or less. Let's going to start. The first 5 topics are going to be in ascending order of the most stressful things around the holidays or the most common sources of arguments. Okay. Are you ready? Are you ready, Shantel?
I think so.
Okay, number 5, keeping physically healthy.
Exercise at least 4 times.
4 times over the whole holiday?
No, a week.
You're making me feel like a loser. A major loser. Let's stop this right now. No, I'm generally a very good exerciser, but it's one of the things I'm not as good on, COVID-19. So, all right. That's number 5. Number 4, who prepares and cleans up the holiday dinner?
Everyone should help if everyone should help wash or clean or something to that point.
Loneliness or feelings of this isn't good enough.
I say go to the affirmations, create your 5 to 10 affirmations that you're going to say to help you overcome that loneliness.
shopping and how much to spend on presents.
Utilize that budget.
But that just sounds, I'm sorry, I'm making you, I always break the lightning round rules. But budget smudge it. I mean, come on, is that really practical? Well, tell us, go ahead, make a pitch for why a budget isn't unrealistic.
Well, and I would always tell people, if we weren't in COVID right now, I would say you could probably go a little bit off of it. But people always overspend during the holidays a lot. And now because of COVID, some people are furloughed or they don't have a job. And so I think it's even more important to make sure that you stick to it. Buy something. You can, sometimes people I've heard, they enjoy the gifts that people make for them more than the ones that they bought because they're more thoughtful and they put more time and energy into it. So, so making sure that you think about a person. If you know this person loves sweaters or this person loves socks or scarves, maybe you can make that, and then that might make them feel better. Or you buy that, but it's not an expensive one.
Source of stress Lib and I have had in our marriage for literally decades has been holiday spending. And, I make more money now than I ever thought I'd make. And kids are out of the house. Kids are off the payroll. I'm not paying for anything anymore. I'm not paying for college anymore. I'm not paying for car insurance. I mean, I am. It's good. And I'm making more money than I ever have right now. And yet last year, well, my youngest daughter wasn't totally off the payroll. And yet last year was still financially stressful. We've still gotten the same fights we have for years. And finally, stupid us, just set it up, just automatic withdrawal out of our account into a separate savings account. Every paycheck. It was a relatively small amount of money for us. And boy, I'll tell you what, all right, look at that. That thing has been going on now for 11 months, right? Look at the thing, all of a sudden I'm like, man, I got no stress at all. So maybe this year might be difficult for some of us, but if you do that, whatever it is, your next holiday is going to be fun. Make an aggressive move. Right. Stop trying to explain away why you can't do things financially. Stop trying to explain away why budgets don't work for you. Stop trying to explain away. No, do something different. That's why you're into the aggressive life. You're here to try something. Try something. Make next holiday season less financially stressful if you can't make it this season less stressful.
And I say that when I work with couples in premarital counseling, that you should have your house account, savings account, and then a spend account and a holiday account. And so that way, for the holidays, they start out with, this is how much we can blow. That's their spending money. They have a savings and they have their house. And then the holiday money, and your budget started right when you start out from the beginning.
Yeah, someone like me probably wouldn't need holiday money because I don't really like to spend that much over the holidays. I mean, I spend all the time. I mean, all the time. Some people go, oh, I bought myself a Christmas present. I used to think, that is so stupid and so selfish. Buy yourself a Christmas present. Why? But now I realize for a lot of those folks, they don't buy themselves anything during the year and they need an out. I buy myself a lot of things during the year.
So you celebrate you, and so they're celebrating them big at Christmas.
I don't know that I celebrate me, but I know that I've got to keep me going. Right. And that's taking money right now. So I just bought I bought a new hunting rifle, and the reason I say it takes money doesn't make everything better, but it helps. But I bought a new hunting rifle, and it's not like I have a hunting rifle now, and now I'm happier. It's that the hunting rifle is needed because I'm going on a hunt out west. It's going to be a very intricate, difficult hunt. And I'm enjoying the planning of it. I'm enjoying the figuring out what gear hopefully I'm going to enjoy the hunt. And so that expense and a bunch of others actually represents from now, I started on this kick on basically November 1st. From November 1st to November 24th, when the hunt will be over, preparation, I'm buying myself a heck of a lot of fun. Right. And I do that a lot, And most of us have not figured out what to do to have fun.
Exactly. And we have to. That's the joy that I talk about. Like, you have to have something that makes you feel good and brings you joy, happiness, and
What
fun.
is that for you, other than working out and having organic water? Because that's what people like you say. Oh, I just have organic water and I work out. That's all my fun. What do you do to have fun?
I love to travel. My thing is to see the 7 wonders of the world before I pass away, and I have 2 left. So,
what 2 do you have left?
Taj Mahal and, oh my goodness, the Machu Picchu.
Now, the 7 wonders of the world, they've changed over time.
Yes, they do.
So what are the 5 that are here right now that you've seen?
So both of the pyramids, Christ the
Those
Redeemer.
are 2 different wonders of the world, okay?
Yeah, they're 2. At 2 different times they were on there. Christ the Redeemer, the Grand Canyon. I went to Belize for that blue hole, but I don't think that's one of them. I'm missing. What is it? So
That's
can't remember.
all
right. So I'm missing one in my head.
So has this been how long has this been a stated goal of yours? Or is it just you went to 3 and all of a sudden you realize, oh, hey, I'm kind of getting some momentum here for the 7 wonders of the world. How long have you been working on it?
So I read about them probably 10, 15 years ago. And so then that became the goal, like at least every year, every other year, try to go. So my kids, when they were small, we went with, and their dad, so they've been to all of those locations with us. So they just didn't, Rome, the Colosseum.
Oh.
I was like, I'm missing something.
Interesting.
Probably another one too. So so they change. So as they change, I keep changing with
Right.
it. So it's probably about 8 places I've been, but then I still want to see the Taj Mahal and Machu Picchu.
I didn't realize the Grand Canyon was one of the...
Yeah.
Okay, so listen, boys and girls, don't get me on my soapbox, but that's like my favorite place in the entire world.
I love it too. Both sides, yeah.
I'm stunned by how many people don't ever intend to go to the Grand Canyon. I'm stunned when I go to the Grand Canyon how I hear more languages other than English than anything else. I'm stunned when I go to have a meal in Flagstaff, which is the closest place, that the servers in the restaurant haven't actually been to the Grand Canyon themselves. They've lived there. Yes, my first time there.
Oh, wow.
I know. I stopped them for breakfast. I said, this is before the days of GPSs, or at least I didn't have one. And I said, hey, how long is it to the Grand Canyon? The woman said, I don't know. I've never been there. I said, are you new to the area? She said, no, I've been here my whole life. It's like, wow. Wow. So anyway, that's great. I'm sorry. We digress. That is not supposed to be on the lightning round. Okay, just a couple more because these are very good. Most aggressive move you've made for your mental health or well-being?
Most aggressive. I go to the beach often just to sit on the beach and sleep and pray. That's it.
Well, that counts. You look like you're ashamed of that.
I'm like, I don't know how aggressive that is, but
I think that's aggressive. Yeah. I think that's aggressive. If aggression, the aggressive life is not get a gun and kill something. That's not
right,
the aggressive. It could be. The aggressive life is you're talking about it throughout the whole time. It's something you do. You're not sitting back and waiting. You're going forward. You all the aggressive things you've mentioned. You've got a list. You're going forward on the 7 wonders of the world that you want to go to. Setting a budget. That's very, very aggressive. Having an intentional decision what you want to do for the holidays. That's aggressive instead of the holidays just happen to you. So, yeah, this is all aggressive stuff. So you saying, I'm going to carve out time and go to the beach, and you do this regularly every year? Mm-hmm. How many times a year do you do that?
Probably 5 times every other month. I go and I sit, read, pray, work on my vision for the next year. So, and just kind of, I love the waves and sleep just to relax.
That's incredibly aggressive. Do you go to the same beach all 5 times?
Same area. So it's in that Miami, between Miami and West Palm Beach, anywhere along there, Boca Raton, that area. I love that beach. I think it's called the A1A.
Yep.
Very nice and quiet and calming. I just came back Sunday. I was there for a week and just on there again, just listening and focusing on vision and a new path.
Interesting. And do you do a bed and breakfast every time?
I have a girlfriend that lives there, but this time, walking by faith, I purchased a home to do retreats in. That was what was being spoken to me about what I was like, where am I going next? What is the next thing to do? So a recovery house for women who have been broken and need soul care and wounds healed. So
wow, that's an aggressive move.
Yeah.
Way to go.
So, yeah.
Well, Shantel, is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we haven't talked about today?
No, I think we covered it all. Is that, yeah, just would like for everybody to have a sound mind and peace in their lives, I would say, and however you can get that, get the help that you need to be able to have a sound mind and some peace, and to be able to enjoy life and live it to the fullest.
So this has been just really great connecting with you. You've had some amazing truth bombs you've dropped on us. If someone wants to follow up with you, see what's going on with you, hear more about you, where can they go?
So asoundmindcounseling.com is the website, asoundmindcounseling.com. The phone number is 513-948-0023, 513-948-0023. And I think that's it.
You don't have any social media accounts?
Oh, yeah, I do. So we do have a Facebook page. It's A Sound Mind Counseling. And Instagram is Dr. Shan, and then it's ASMND. So there's two different ones there. So, yeah, I have a YouTube channel that is Dr. Shantel Thomas, and we do give out tips on grieving and loss and how to manage this time of COVID. There's about 10 videos out there. I just started that, so I'm new to it, so still working on it.
Well, Doctor, this has been great. Great. Very, very helpful. I've enjoyed our time immensely, and I know you've helped a lot of people. So there you go, boys and girls. Let's make this holiday season a little different. Don't just wait around hoping it goes better. Don't just assume that things are going to be better than they were before. No, your train's not going to come in. You got to put some coal in the car and drive the train. It's called the aggressive life. You're responsible for your life. You're responsible for your holiday. If your holiday is crappy, the first person to blame will be yourself. Do not be a victim this holiday. Decide what you want this holiday. Decide that you want a better holiday or the best holiday you possibly can in crappy 2020. So you have yourselves a great holiday, and we'll see you next time on The Aggressive Life. Hey, thanks for listening. For more aggressive living, head over to briantome.com. Get signed up for the mailing list to get regular shots of positive aggression sent straight to your inbox. And while you're there, you can also find articles, podcasts, and books. I'm also active on Instagram. Search Brian Tome. Special thanks to the band judges for the music. The Aggressive Life with Brian Tome is a production of Crossroads Church, Cincinnati, Ohio.